NFL weekend recap. Giants all over the Lions, 30-17, went over. Total yardage 299 to 308. Detroit won the battle there. Not much out of the quarterback. Stafford threw 5 passes, nothing for Eli.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this game, in terms of what it means for the regular season, basically very little. That being said, it's 2 games in a row where Detroit said, we need to play physical in the trenches. We need to push people around on the offensive line. We got to get the running game going. We got to, the whole concept Matt Patricia is trying to do is we're going to play physical football. Lions didn't play physical football week 1. They didn't play physical football week 2. That has to be a concern going into their week 3 dress rehearsal game. If we continue to see Detroit struggling at the point of attack, the market will crash on the Lions over the course of the next 7 days.
All the money for Kansas City. Again, 2.5-point dogs went off 2.5-point favorites. They win by 14. The play of the week, Mahomes, the long touchdown to Hill, and a pick 6 there late to seal it with Kansas City getting the win. And what's that, 6 straight preseason losses for Dan Quinn.
Yeah. The Falcons are clearly showing that they don't care. That being said, Atlanta starters dominated the game. They absolutely dominated the game, except for that they failed on a pair of 4th down conversions when they were in scoring range. They were going for the touchdown. They didn't want to settle for 3, and they got stuffed on 4th down twice, which left the door open for Mahomes' incredible pass and the big second half from that KC QB rotation. Chad Henne, Matt McGloin really played well after halftime for Kansas City. Falcons may have some depth concerns. It's certainly showing in the preseason, and Dan Quinn once again showing that he does not care one iota about the final score of preseason games.
Carolina beat Miami, and Buffalo and Cleveland. Buffalo gets the win, and McCarron, they went 3 and out all 4 possessions when he was in there, then got hurt. How about it's going to be Peterman or Allen to start week 1, it looks like. Well, why? I can't imagine he's ready with that injury. Not that, he was struggling anyways. So that a big ticket's going to cash there. Peterman, I think, was 9-1 offshore to be the starter week 1 against the Ravens. And right down the field for the Browns to start when they play with tempo and go kind of hurry up, play with some rhythm. And who knows, more weapons are coming with Gordon. They might sign Des Bryant.
Sure. Let's start with Carolina and Miami. Certainly the thing that stood out to me in this game, you can say the Panthers offense. I'm going to say the Dolphins defense. It's 2 weeks in a row that Miami starting defense has been absolutely lit up. Carolina, 6.8 yards per play in a preseason games. Touchdown drives of 80, 85, 92, and 61 yards. Miami's defense has not played well in either preseason game. They didn't play well this weekend either. And certainly, when you're talking about Buffalo and Cleveland on Friday night, I'll just put it this way. I'm glad I bet my Bills season under 6.5 before the start of the preseason. The Bills QB play, hey, they got the win, they got the cover. Their defense played all right, but you can already see the QB concerns for Buffalo, throw in some offensive line injuries. And I've got my major question marks about Buffalo being able to be competitive after being a playoff team last year.
Win total already down to 5.5 at the South Point here at Vegas. How about that? Arizona plus the points. They beat the Saints outright 20-15. Bradford played well, and Rosen actually got some protection this time, was okay as well. The Saints couldn't do much on offense.
Yeah, and what you're seeing in a lot of these games, and certainly the mainstream commentators for this game, like, oh, look how much better Josh Rosen was week 2 than week 1. Yes, Josh Rosen was better because the offensive line in front of him was better. He was playing with starters instead of backups. Oftentimes in these games, you'll see the backup come in, and he'll make some noise against second and third string defenders. They go, oh, look at the backup. The backup's really good. And then you see him the next week against the starters, and he stinks. That wasn't the case for Rosen against the Saints, but New Orleans -4 in turnovers. How about this? 2 games for Arizona in the preseason. They're already +7 in turnover margin. They might need that for Steve Wilkes' squad in order to continue winning games and covering point spreads in September and beyond.
2 ugly games Saturday on all the games are on NFL Network. The Vikings lost at home to Jacksonville. Bortles should have thrown 2 or 3 picks in that game. Vikings lost a ton of guys. Vikings have been a mash unit with all these injuries, especially on the offensive line. Game stayed under, wasn't even close. And the Rams no one played in that game for the Rams and the Raiders. That game was ugly too and low scoring in the 19-15 final.
Yeah. We can put it this way. For Jacksonville, Minnesota, the offenses were combined 4 of 26 on third down. You talked about the ugly pick for Bortles and another one that, 3 Vikings defenders touched before it hit the ground. But Minnesota's offense wasn't a whole lot better. Kirk Cousins, it's twice now that Cousins has struggled. Different system than he was in Washington. Different offensive line. Just saying, that Minnesota defense looks great. The offense, back-to-back showings. I've got my concerns, but not too many concerns. I think Minnesota will be fine.
I scored 42 points 2 weeks ago. I mean, what's that like with that?
There were issues on the offense.
Dallas 21-13. Driscoll played well. Barkley played well. That got crazy in the second half there. And Denver and the Bears was a good game. You had Chicago rallying late. How about Paxton Lynch? Oh, my God, it's over. Booed off the field by the fans. Mr. Irrelevant has now passed him on the depth chart. Chad Kelly, that is something. And Denver had a nice halftime lead in that one. But the Broncos don't get the money as the Bears come in through the back door.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with Cincinnati. Andy Dalton, he wasn't good last year. He wasn't good the year before. Andy Dalton saw extended time against Dallas, and he wasn't good in that game either. This is definitely a concern for me for Cincinnati because if Dalton's no good, I don't know where their offense comes from. Dallas cluster, starting to see some injuries on the offensive line. Travis Frederick missed Saturday's game. He's got a neck stinger, and Zach Martin left that game with a leg injury. Not necessarily considered serious, but something bettors should be aware of.
Chargers Seahawks play of the day winner, 24-14. That was an under. Again, Carroll, remember he's 34-14, but 0-2 ATS this year. It's not the same quarterback rotation. There's not much behind Wilson. Offensive line issues, can't run the ball. So much so that they, according to reports, they offered a second-round pick to the Colts for Brissett.
Yeah, Brissett's worth something for Seattle. And that offensive line now, it's twice we've seen them there. It's going to be a problem for Seattle. It's been a problem. It's been a problem for years. It still has not been addressed appropriately. And the Seahawks, they're certainly their preseason backers, have seen it in each of the first 2 games. Pete Carroll's long-term track record, no good. And I just want to touch on Chad Kelly for a minute. Paxton Lynch, yeah, it's probably a decent chance that the guy gets cut. A guy who everyone traded up and was, can't miss prospect. He's been awful in 2 preseason games so far.
Oh, yeah, you got to cut him. You can't have a first-round pick as a third string and Mr. Irrelevant's the backup, please.
Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.